The Lakers need all hands on deck against the Rockets. This is not a drill. This is not a cliche. All hands on deck. That's next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for joining Locked On Lakers. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky, as we get ready for Saturday's Game 1 against the Houston Rockets. Andy, JJ Redick has talked about rebounding at length, and he will continue to. But another thing that he's talking about a lot is a next man up mentality and all hands on deck mentality. And normally, Andy, when we hear words like this, it's sort of filler and a cliche and things like that. In this case, almost everybody's going to have a chance to contribute in this series. And certainly guys who have been a little bit lower in the rotation are going to be expected to do more things and bigger things and better things.
They have to be greater than the sum of their parts, because on a talent versus talent basis in this series against Houston, they're outclassed. I mean, that's just the reality. Let's say LeBron managed to be the best player in this series, which, side note, would be incredible just contextually, given where he is at this stage of his career and where all the other various star Rockets or all defense caliber Rockets, rising young player Rockets, whatever, where they all are. I mean, it would just be another chapter in what's been, an all-time great career. But even if LeBron is the best player in this series, if enough other Lakers don't play, forget at their station, above it in a lot of different facets, it will not be enough. And if you need proof of this, when the Cavaliers in 2015 lost to the Warriors in the finals when Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving were both injured, and it was LeBron and a bunch of role players. LeBron was arguably the best player on the floor. There was a certain school of thought that he should have been voted MVP, even though the Cavaliers lost. LeBron played at a stratospheric level, and it was not enough. Right. Everyone else is going to have to contribute in tangible ways across every single game of however long this series lasts. Otherwise, whatever that number is, I guarantee it ends with the Rockets advancing. I think one of the parts of this conversation that I've been thinking about a lot, because it's like, who elevates? Like, you're right. Everybody has to play better. And everybody's got to be kind of more than what they've been. You are being asked now to, the part of the challenge here is guys have been asked to accept a role, fill a role, be a star in your role, and all these things in 10 days before the end of the regular season. Congratulations, your role has completely changed. And that is not an easy thing to adjust to, but LeBron has to be as good as LeBron can be. I don't want to say LeBron has to be LeBron, because like you say, like that harkens back to 2016 vintage sort of like, and I'm not sure that's a reasonable ask, but he's got to be whatever the closest. Look, I'm just going to say this just as a preface point for a lot of how we talk about this series. A lot of the asks are going to be unreasonable.
Yes,
they have to be. Like, just so people understand this, for the Lakers to win this series or push it as far as they can go, they're going to have to meet some unreasonable asks. It's otherwise impossible. That's just it's important to note this.
But what I'm getting at here, though, isn't the like how we evaluate LeBron after the series part of this. It's that you can't, if you are the Lakers trying to formulate a way to win the series, can't be like, well, LeBron will play like he did in 2016, and then the rest of us will do whatever. That's not a strategy. And so you need to get what the best version of LeBron is now. I mean, we had the whole show on how the Lakers help LeBron help them. They need to figure out where they're going to get him the ball. It's not just, you can't just hand it to him and expect miracles to happen. So that means if there is a reasonable cap on what you can get from LeBron, that means the rest of those guys have to backfill in more ways. And that's kind of what I'm getting at here. But one of the things that I think is potentially interesting about it, at least, you need to hit up certain bar. Like, Marcus Smart's going to need to be pretty, certainly defensively, great all series, and generally speaking, contribute. And I think DeAndre Ayton's going to have to be pretty significant all series long. But over the course of games, it doesn't have to be the same player every game that gives you that game, or the same two guys. Maybe it's Jake LaRavia 2 or 3 times. Maybe it's Rui 3 or 4 times. Maybe you get, a game where Luke Kennard goes 7 of 10 from 3-point range, which is not out of the question. The guy's that good of a shooter. And it kind of moves around over the course of the series to you get to that sum of your parts. But to the all hands on deck part of it, the village part of it, the next man up part of it, in each one of these games, the Lakers win, hopefully 4 of them. It's going to take 3 or 4 guys stepping up in that way. It doesn't always have to, like I said, maybe it's different guys each time, but it's you need a certain amount of elevated performance to even have a chance. And that's the part that gets tricky. And I think part of what, why I think when JJ says all hands on deck, that can mean Dalton Knecht. It can mean Nick Smith. It can mean guys that you might not be expecting normally to contribute in a series, because as JJ sort of implied, they're going to have to be unconventional and get a little bit weird and try some stuff and pull some levers. It wouldn't shock me if we see some guys on the floor that you wouldn't have expected to be there 10 days ago.
You said before that it could be Dalton Knecht, it could be Nick Smith. It will be. In terms of guys getting opportunities out there or being put on the floor, I would be stunned if every member of the active roster does not play at least a couple games in this series. I think there's going to be a relatively low amount of DNP CDs for a playoff series, where you tend to have a pretty fixed hierarchy in the rotation, and then you only move outside of that for very specific reasons, very often foul trouble or something like that.
Hold on to that for just a second, because I want to ask you a follow-up to that. I'm curious if you're viewing this the same way that I am. So we'll do that next.
Locked On Lakers is brought to you by Rocket Money. Have you ever opened your bank account and thought, where did all my money go? Well, you're not alone. Keeping track of subscriptions, spending, bills, it can be overwhelming really fast. And that's where Rocket Money comes in, helping you take control of your finances. It tracks all of your subscriptions in one spot, help you cancel the ones you don't need with just a few taps, automatically characterizes your spending. Rocket Money does, so you can actually see where your money's going, and you set budgets, get alerts, stay on top of upcoming bills. It just makes everything feel more organized and gives you a clearer picture of your finances day to day. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/lockedon. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon.
Locked On Lakers also brought to you by Game Time. There's nothing like being in an NBA arena, perhaps for game 1 of the Western Conference quarterfinals. The crowd, the energy, the moment. Getting tickets, though, that part's not always been so simple. And this is why Game Time has become the go-to app for scoring tickets fast without the hassle. Puts the advantage back where it belongs, with the fans. So our house, we like to use it for soccer tickets primarily. We'll go to LAFC, we'll go to Galaxy, we'll go to Angel City. And I love it because I can see exactly what my tickets are going to cost with all the fees and everything. Everything is there, and I know what it's going to be, all in, price up front. The kids like it because they get to see the seat view and they can look at the field from exactly where it's going to be. I want to see it in this section, I want to see it in that section, and they get to kind of be part of it as well. Great last minute options. Everything feels really quick. It's intuitive. It's stress free, and it's a great way to take the guesswork out of buying tickets, whether for the NBA or anything else. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app. And remember, it's gametime.co, not .com.
And finally, Locked On Lakers is brought to you by Rougiette. The NHL playoffs are here, where every shift matters, every moment is intense, the pressure is at its highest. And just like the performance matters on the ice, it matters off the ice too. That's where Rougiette is key. Rougiette offers treatments designed to help you get ready and stay ready when it matters. Their top option, Rougiette Ready, combines clinically proven ingredients in a simple mint that dissolves under your tongue. It works fast, often in about 15 minutes. It can last up to 36 hours. And they also offer Go Long, designed to help both performance and control. It's all about confidence and feeling like yourself again. Head to rougiette.com/lockedonnhl and get 15% off your ED treatment. That's RUGIET.com/lockedonnhl for 15% off. Rougiette, performance medicine for men.
So I'm curious if you see this the same way. I mean, obviously there are going to be certain guys who play heavy minutes throughout this series, and I don't think my vision of this is not that JJ plays 10 or 11 guys every night. It's that he plays 7 and then 8 and 8.5 change from night to night. Like, they're in a playoff series, you tend to get shorter benches. It's rare for guys to go 9 or 10 deep, 11 deep into their team. But I think I picture this, sort of a thing short of like minutes where Maxey comes in and does like 2 things and sits down in a minute and a half, which JJ has done before. Like your core 7 guys, and then you get special appearances by Dalton. Whoa, Dalton. They just put Dalton in, like stuff like that happening over the course of a series. Oh, Nick Smith, go get a bucket, like kind of stuff. Like I picture those sort of curveballs coming night to night, as opposed to JJ playing 10 players, an evening.
I agree with you about in the middle. I think the rotation you're laying out's too short, especially because of the guys that they're missing. JJ has said 9-man rotation enough times that I think he is specifically thinking a 9-man rotation. Mm-hmm. At the very least, LeBron, Smart, Ayton, Rui, Kennard, Vando, Hayes, LaRavia, those 8 guys are in the rotation. Like you can't go any shorter than that, especially with Luka and Austin missing and how hard they're going to have to play against Houston with a 6.5, 7-man rotation, even 7.5 man. I just think that's too small. I don't think you can practically put out a rotation without those 8 guys. They don't have enough talent. So I'm saying I think it is not 7-ish man. I think it is 8 or 9 minimum as a staple. And then 10 through 13 is where it may become more situational, whether you're talking about something that you specifically need Maxey for, or something defensive matchup where you think Bronny could be useful, or just another guy who can handle the ball because for whatever reason you need somebody else out there. Nick Smith, if you need buckets quickly. Dalton for the same reasons, maybe a little bit more size, or it's not working as well with Nick Smith. The 9th guy is, I think, really
that's sort of what I'm getting at. Like, who is that 9th guy? I think is going to kind of change from evening to evening potentially.
I think it could. I am guessing it's going to be regularly either Bronny or probably Bronny or Nick Smith. Like I think Maxey is very situational, and depending on how well Ayton and Hayes play, I think the need for Maxey decreases, especially because his lane is really narrow. And a little with Maxey tends to go a long way. And quite frankly, I don't know if you can play him regular minutes without him getting injured. Like, I'm not trying to be an a-hole about this. I'm just being honest. Every time it seems like Maxey plays a couple games, he ends up missing 2.5 minutes.
It's also, he's hard to play. What he does quite well. Like I said, I picture him getting out in certain possessions where you need really good defensive execution. You need to execute a play offensively that involves screening, positioning, things like that. But he's such a negative player at this point offensively in a series where the Lakers are already going to struggle to score. It's hard to give him a lot of minutes. I actually think Bronny, I know JJ's talked about him and the confidence that they have in him. I think Bronny's relative lack of explosion offensively, particularly in a playoff situation where teams are defending, is going to make him hard to put on the floor because his skill set, which is, defense and things like that, I just don't think is going to have the sort of, I would expect to see more of Smith than I would Bronny.
Like if they're having difficulty controlling Reed Shepherd, I think that's where Bronny's utility off the top of my head comes in.
But that's right. But that we're kind of thinking about this the same way, because that's a defensive thing where, like, you know what, we need to put in somebody specific. But that's what's hard about this series. It's like trying to figure, like, everybody's got kind of like their little niche when you're talking about that 9th guy, 10th guy, whatever it might be. Like, you put in Dalton, it's like, you know what, we need shooting and aggressive offense. Like, he normally doesn't have the space to go hoop as Dalton likes to do. Well, here you go. Like, we might need that situation where it's like, you know what, nobody's really super confident it's going to work, but, go, you do you, Dalton. Let's see what we can get here, particularly with LeBron off the floor or Nick Smith. Like, go create. Go, you have full, license to just, YOLO out there. We'll see what happens. And then, like you say, you thought of a really specific situation where Bronny's skill set might come in handy. It's a lot of that, I think, for that last little roster spot.
I imagine
rotation spot, I should say.
I imagine Nick Smith is going to get those opportunities ahead of Dalton, just because it's become very clear JJ just does not trust Dalton in even medium leverage situations, much less high. But also, if he really thought Dalton would be a factor to begin with, then I think Drew Timme would have been the guy activated rather than Smith. I think in a lot of ways, Smith being there speaks to a lack of trust in Dalton, because there's enough similarities.
Dalton can't handle the ball and initiated offense in that way. Or at least Nick, you can sort of try to get that. I mean, he's not a point. He's not. They clearly felt like they needed another guard on the roster, and Knecht.
I mean, Dalton is a guard. He's not a guard that they feel comfortable playing.
He's more of a 2-3 than a 1-2. Like, he's not a point guard.
I mean, Nick Smith is really only a point guard in the sense that he's too small to be considered a shooting guard. He is really
closer than Dalton.
I'm just saying he's really no more of a point guard than Dalton is.
A little bit more. But I understand. I don't want to argue about this. I understand what you're saying, but and I agree with you that JJ is probably going to try other things before he gets to Dalton. But Dalton's,
I would be, unless things are going really, really unexpectedly well for the Lakers in this series, I imagine Dalton will get a crack or two.
I think so. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Like, expect some weird stuff, expect some unconventional things, some curveballs offensively, a lot of different coverages defensively. JJ has a bunch of imperfect levers to pull, and the pieces don't fit together in ways without the cohesive scoring and the anchor of your two best players, or two of your three, including your galaxy level superstar. There is no perfect combination to put out there. So plenty more to come in terms of getting ready for the series before Saturday's Game 1. Locked on Lakers on YouTube is where you can hang out with over 38,000 subscribers. Check out the show notes, see if the Everydayer Club is for you, and we'll see everyone next time.